Dr. Maya Santos hunched over her terminal in the hastily assembled command center beneath Geneva. 3 days ago, she had been teaching xenolinguistics at MIT. Now, the fate of humanity potentially rested on her ability to understand beings from another star system. "Look at this pattern," she said, pointing to the scrolling alien transmission on her screen. General Whitaker leaned closer, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow. "Their language follows perfect mathematical progressions. Every communication has exact syllabic counts divisible by 7. Across the room, Captain Liam Chen studied tactical displays showing the positioning of the Star Collective's fleet. Their ships maintain precisely calculated distances from each other. No variation whatsoever. He zoomed in on a section of the formation. Even when they repositioned yesterday, every vessel moved in perfect synchronization. It's almost as if... Dr. Santos trailed off, her mind racing. "As if what?" the general prompted. "As if they're incapable of imprecision," she finished. "Every aspect of their behavior suggests rigid adherence to mathematical patterns and protocols." The emergency gathering of scientists, military leaders, and government officials fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth's conventional military stood no chance against the invaders' technology. Satellite imagery showed ships that dwarfed aircraft carriers, weapons that could reshape coastlines with a single blast. Li Wei, a quantum physicist from Beijing University, spoke up. "Perhaps perfection is not strength but limitation." He pulled up his own analysis. Their energy signatures never fluctuate. Their transmissions never contain errors. Even their ultimatum was delivered with identical phrasing to every nation simultaneously. Captain Chen nodded slowly. "No species evolves without adaptation, without flexibility. The 72-hour deadline would expire in less than 15 hours. Across the globe, civilians huddled in shelters or fled inland from coastal cities, expecting the worst. Military forces stood on highest alert, though most commanders privately acknowledged they were merely maintaining order rather than preparing a meaningful defense. Dr. Santos suddenly straightened in her chair. "Send this to the primary vessel." She typed rapidly, creating a message that deliberately contained linguistic inconsistencies, double meanings, and cultural references without context. "What are you doing?" General Whitaker asked. "Testing a theory. If they're as rigid as they appear, introducing linguistic chaos might reveal something about their processing capabilities." The message was transmitted. Minutes passed. Then the main screen lit up with a response. They responded with a request for clarification, a communications officer announced. "They seem confused." Captain Chen studied the alien vessels on the tactical display. For the first time since their arrival, the perfect formation showed a minuscule discrepancy. A single ship had drifted 0.02 degrees out of alignment. "There," he whispered, pointing to the anomaly. "Confusion disrupts their precision." Dr. Santos's eyes widened. "Their perfection makes them predictable, and predictability can be exploited," finished General Whitaker. He straightened his uniform. "We need to buy more time. Prepare a response that's grammatically perfect but semantically ambiguous. Make them think we're attempting to clarify while actually introducing more uncertainty." Across the table, a young intelligence analyst named Marcus Foster quietly opened his laptop. "I may have something else we can use." He pulled up footage of the Star Collective's initial arrival. Watch their response when lightning struck near one of their atmospheric scouts. The video showed the small alien craft making an instantaneous course correction that seemed to follow a precise mathematical formula. "They don't improvise," Captain Chen murmured. "They calculate." As dawn broke over a world facing possible extinction, the first seeds of hope began to grow. Humanity's messy, imprecise, contradictory nature, long considered our collective weakness, might prove to be our salvation. Jin Park. Move through the shadows of Seoul's abandoned financial district, the alien patrol ship hovering exactly 300 meters above the intersection. Just as Captain Chen had predicted, it would remain there for precisely 7 minutes before moving to its next designated position. "I'm approaching the terminal," Jin whispered into his comm unit. The 19-year-old had been a cybersecurity student before the invasion. Now he was Earth's best hope of accessing the aliens' information network. "Remember, you have exactly 3 minutes and 42 seconds, came Dr. Santos's voice. Their systems scan for intrusions on a fixed cycle. Jin reached the abandoned office building, where an alien communication node had been installed. Unlike human technology with its blinking lights and cooling fans, the alien device was silent, its surface a seamless metallic gray. Jin pulled out the modified tablet he'd built using salvaged components. "Beginning the bypass now," he said, connecting his device to what they'd identified as an access port. He'd studied the patterns in alien data traffic for weeks. Where others saw impenetrable encryption, Jin recognized perfect mathematical sequences. "Their security is like a metronome," he'd explained to Dr. Santos. "Unwavering and predictable." His fingers flew across the screen, introducing calculation errors and paradoxical statements into the authentication protocols. The alien systems, designed to process only precise logical inputs, struggled to categorize his approach. "I'm in," Jin announced as alien characters flooded his screen. "Downloading everything I can." Above him, the patrol ship shuddered almost imperceptibly, its first deviation from perfect stability. Half a world away in the underground command center, Dr. Santos watched as Jin's data began streaming in. "It's working," she breathed. The information confirmed their growing theory. The Star Collective had never encountered a species that used creative problem-solving. Captain Chen studied the tactical information. Their battle records show 17 conquered worlds. Every species followed predictable defense patterns: logical retreats, resource optimization, protection of population centers. He looked up, eyes gleaming. Not one tried asymmetric warfare or sacrificed tactical advantage for psychological impact. General Whitaker nodded slowly. "So they've never faced an enemy who might choose an inferior strategic position because it means something emotionally." "Exactly," Dr. Santos said. "And there's more. Their entire civilization appears to function without art, humor, or metaphor. Their language has no words for imagination or creativity." On the screen, Jin's vital signs spiked. "Patrol ship is moving early," he reported, voice tense but controlled. "They've detected something." "Abort the mission," Captain Chen ordered. "Wait," Jin replied. "I found something critical." He stared at his screen in disbelief. "They've conquered worlds, but they're not natural predators. They've never developed the concept of deception because their own species never needed it." The patrol ship descended, its scanning beam sweeping the streets. "Jin, get out now," Dr. Santos urged. 10 more seconds, he insisted, downloading the final fragments of data. As the beam approached his position, Jin did something no Star Collective strategic analysis could have predicted, he laughed. The sound traveled through his open comm channel as he disconnected his device and sprinted toward the service tunnels. On monitoring stations worldwide, operators watched in astonishment as the alien patrol ship's precision movements faltered, its scanning pattern becoming erratic. "Did you see that?" Jin asked when he reached safety. "When I laughed, they hesitated. It wasn't in their response protocols." Dr. Santos exchanged glances with Captain Chen. "Emotion disturbs their systems," she said softly. "And nothing is more unpredictably emotional than humans facing extinction." Operation Shadowweb suddenly had its first real weapon, humanity itself. The captured alien pilot sat perfectly still in the repurposed storage facility outside Nairobi. Unlike the monstrous creatures of science fiction, it appeared almost elegant, tall and slender with iridescent skin that shifted between blues and greens. Its 4 eyes remained fixed on Dr. Santos as she attempted communication. "We've been analyzing its responses for 3 days, she explained to the assembled resistance leaders. "It answers direct questions with perfect accuracy, but cannot process rhetorical questions at all." Captain Chen studied the being from behind one-way glass. "What about its ship? Have we made any progress?" Engineer Priya Sharma nodded, pulling up schematics on her tablet. "The technology is centuries beyond ours, but the design philosophy is remarkably limited. Every system follows identical engineering principles with no redundancies or creative solutions. Meaning? General Whitaker asked. Meaning they've never needed to improvise, Priya explained. Their technological evolution has been perfectly linear. When they encounter a problem, they solve it with overwhelming computational power rather than innovative design. Inside the interrogation room, Dr. Santos held up a simple drawing of a house, a square with a triangle on top. "What is this?" she asked the alien. Its voice came through the translator as eerily melodic. "An inaccurate representation of a dwelling structure. Could it be anything else?" Santos pressed. The alien's skin rippled slightly. "It is an incorrect geometric rendering." Dr. Santos then showed it an abstract painting. "And this?" The being stared at the swirls of color for 27 seconds. They had timed its responses precisely before answering. "The purpose of this visual information cannot be determined." Behind the glass, Jin Park leaned forward. "It can't interpret abstract concepts or recognize symbolic representation." "But surely a spacefaring civilization," began Colonel Mbeki. "They advance through perfect iteration, not creative leaps," Priya interrupted. "Their mathematics is flawless, but it follows established patterns without deviation." Captain Chen's eyes narrowed. "That explains their battle formations. They position for maximum efficiency without considering psychological impact." Inside the interrogation room, Dr. Santos tried a different approach. She told the alien a simple joke. The being's skin shifted to a pale yellow, their first observation of this color change. "Your statement contains a logical paradox. Clarification is required." Dr. Santos smiled slightly. It was humor. "This concept is not translatable," the alien replied. Later, as the team analyzed the day's findings, Jin Park made a breakthrough while examining the ship's navigation system. "Their entire fleet operates on synchronized protocols," he announced, pointing to the code sequences he'd extracted. "Each vessel receives identical instructions simultaneously. There's no individual decision-making." "A perfect hive mind," Dr. Santos mused. "Not quite," Jin corrected. "A hive mind suggests collective intelligence. This is more like perfect conformity. They follow instructions without question because their evolutionary history never required questioning." Captain Chen paced the room. "So if we disrupt their instructions, the entire system could falter," Priya finished. "But we'd need to access their command network." General Whitaker frowned. "Impossible. Their mothership is surrounded by the entire fleet." "Maybe not," Jin said quietly, still studying the navigation codes. "These frequencies..." He looked up, excitement breaking through his usual reserve. "They're using quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication, but the security is entirely based on perfect mathematical sequences, and we've already proven we can disrupt those," Dr. Santos said, understanding dawning. Captain Chen leaned over the schematics. "We don't need to physically reach their command ship. We just need to introduce enough chaos into their network to create cascade failures." For the first time since the invasion began, the resistance leaders exchanged looks not of desperation, but of genuine hope. Sergeant Anna Kimura pressed her back against the crumbling wall of what had once been Sydney's opera house. The Guardian units had her squad surrounded, 3 sleek machines hovering at precisely calculated distances, their weapons trained on all possible escape routes. "Analysis?" she whispered into her comm. "They've positioned to cover every logical exit point," came the response from Tactical. "They're waiting for reinforcements to arrive in approximately 2 minutes. Anna closed her eyes briefly. Her squad of 14 had been reduced to 7 in the previous engagement. They had managed to plant the disruptor beacon, but now extraction seemed impossible. The aliens had adapted to most of their guerrilla tactics over the past weeks. Something Captain Chen had said during training echoed in her mind. "When logic fails, embrace absurdity." "Martinez," she called softly to her communications specialist. "Broadcast music channel 3 on my mark." "Sarge?" Martinez looked confused. Music wasn't part of any established protocol. Just do it. Anna turned to the others. When the music starts, everyone runs straight at the center guardian. Don't fire until you're within 10 meters. Private. Jackson looked at her like she'd lost her mind. That's suicide. Exactly. Anna grinned. They've calculated every rational move we might make. Let's show them something irrational. She took a deep breath. Mark. The ancient battle hymn, Ride of the Valkyries, blasted at maximum volume from their portable speakers. Anna let out a war cry that her ancestors might have recognized and charged directly toward the deadliest of the Guardian units. Her squad, trained to follow orders even when they seemed insane, ran behind her. From the command center, Dr. Santos watched through satellite imagery, her heart in her throat. What are they doing? Captain Chen leaned forward, eyes intent on the screen. Something beautiful. The Guardian units hesitated, a microsecond delay that their perfect programming had never anticipated. Their targeting systems, designed to predict rational evasive maneuvers, struggled to calculate the purpose behind humans running toward certain death while broadcasting orchestral music. That fraction of a second was all Sergeant Kimura needed. Her squad launched their experimental EMP grenades, devices created by Priya's engineering team based on captured alien technology. 2 of the Guardians crashed to the ground. The third managed to fire once before succumbing, its shot going wide. 3 resistance fighters fell. 4 remained standing, including Anna, blood streaming from a gash in her forehead. Package secure, she reported, her voice steady despite the loss. Transmitter is active. Back at the command center, the tactical display showed the disruptor signal beginning to spread through the alien network. Jin Park's algorithm, designed to introduce imperceptible errors into the Star Collective's perfect commands, was working. We've confirmed similar results in Lagos and Vancouver, reported Colonel Mbeki. The Guardian units hesitate when confronted with irrational human behavior. Dr. Santos studied the biometric readings from the captured alien pilot. Its skin had turned a deep purple, a color they'd never observed before, when they played recordings of the Sydney battle. It's not just confusion, she realized. I think it's experiencing something like fear. General Whitaker's eyebrows rose. They fear what they cannot predict. And nothing is less predictable than humans fighting for their home, Captain, Chen said quietly. Jin Park looked up from his terminal. The disruptor network is at 27% coverage. We need at least 60% to attempt a system-wide cascade. Then we need more teams willing to do the irrational, said the general. Captain Chen nodded. I'll lead the next one myself. Captain Chen led his team through the sterile corridors of the Collective's command vessel, each footstep echoing against the metallic floor. The air carried a faint chemical smell that made his eyes water. Next to him, Lieutenant Rodriguez checked, the small device hidden in her palm, their only means of tracking Jin's instructions through the massive ship. Junction ahead, she whispered. Jin says left pathway leads to the central processing hub. Their disguises as human collaborators had worked perfectly. The aliens' inability to comprehend deception meant they accepted the team's fabricated credentials without question. 6 resistance fighters posing as technical advisors, offering information on Earth's remaining defense networks. Something's wrong, muttered Specialist Lee, the team's medical officer. His face had taken on a grayish pallor and tiny beads of sweat dotted his forehead. My vision's blurring. Rodriguez was coughing quietly into her sleeve, red flecks visible on the fabric. The atmosphere, Chen realized. There must be trace elements toxic to humans. He made a swift decision. Lee, Rodriguez, fall back to the shuttle bay. The rest of us continue. Rodriguez shook her head firmly. With respect, Captain, we all knew this was likely a one-way mission. I'm seeing it through. Chen wanted to argue, but recognized the determination in her eyes. The same determination he'd seen in countless humans fighting impossible odds these past months. 4 minutes to Central Hub, came Jin's voice through their nearly microscopic earpieces. The young hacker was guiding them remotely, having mapped the ship's layout from the data they'd gathered from the captured scout vessel. They reached a vast chamber unlike anything they had expected. Instead of the control bridge from human science fiction, they faced what appeared to be a living data structure, pulsing crystalline formations interconnected by streams of light. No alien operators were visible. "This is it," Jin confirmed in their ears. "Their neural network core, the physical manifestation of their command protocols." Dr. Santos's voice joined the transmission. "The crystals likely serve as quantum computing nodes. Look for a data interface matching the schematics we provided." Chen scanned the room until he spotted it, a simple pedestal near the largest crystal formation. He approached while the others secured the entrance. "Beginning upload," he said, placing Jin's device against the interface. The screen displayed a rapid progression as the disruption algorithm began transferring into the collective systems. A sharp alarm blared. The light patterns in the crystal formation shifted from blue to red. "Security protocols activated," Jin warned. "They've detected the foreign code." The door sealed shut as 4 Guardian units materialized through panels in the walls, weapons, trained on the human intruders. "Keep the upload going," Chen ordered as his team took defensive positions. The first Guardian fired, the energy blast catching him in the shoulder. Searing pain shot through his body, but Chen remained focused on the upload progress. 67%, 68%. Lieutenant Rodriguez was hit next, collapsing to her knees but continuing to provide covering fire. Specialist Lee, despite blood trickling from his nose and ears from the toxic atmosphere, managed to disable one Guardian with a modified EMP device. 89%, 90%. Chen fought to remain conscious, the pain threatening to overwhelm him. The room spun around him as he watched the progress. Meter 97%, 98%, 99%. "Upload complete," Jin announced as Chen fell to the floor. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was the crystal formation shifting from angry red to a confused, flickering purple, the color of alien fear. Jin Park stared at his monitors, in disbelief as Captain Chen's life signs flatlined. The command center fell silent, the weight of sacrifice hanging heavy in the air. Then almost imperceptibly the signal returned, weak but present. "He's alive," Jin announced, voice cracking slightly. "They all are." Dr. Santos leaned forward, studying the data streams now flowing from the collective's command vessel. "The aliens are administering medical treatment to our team." "But why?" General Whitaker frowned. "Prisoners for interrogation?" "No," Dr. Santos said slowly. "Look at these command sequences. They're conflicted. Jin's algorithm is working. The perfect synchronization is breaking down." Across the tactical displays, alien ship formations showed increasing deviations from their previously flawless patterns. Some vessels hovered motionless while others made small, seemingly random adjustments to their positions. "It's beautiful," Jin whispered, watching the confusion spread through the enemy network. His algorithm wasn't designed to destroy their systems outright. That would likely trigger failsafes. Instead, it introduced subtle contradictions and emotional variables into a system that had never processed such concepts. "What exactly is happening to them?" asked Colonel Mbeki. Dr. Santos brought up the biometric data from their captive alien pilot, which was now showing unprecedented readings. "Imagine the most orderly mind you can conceive, one that has never experienced doubt or ambiguity. Now introduce concepts like regret, nostalgia, or irony." "We're giving them an existential crisis," Jin said. On the main screen, footage from resistance outposts worldwide showed alien ground forces exhibiting strange behaviors. In Moscow, Guardian units formed a perfect circle and remained motionless. In Rio de Janeiro, a patrol simply departed, ascending into the atmosphere without completing its scheduled sweep. "Launch Phase 2, General Whitaker ordered. Across the planet, resistance cells initiated simultaneous attacks on alien positions, each employing tactics designed to maximize psychological impact rather than tactical advantage. In Cairo, fighters approached singing ancient hymns. In Tokyo, they attacked in deliberately asymmetrical formations. In London, they used children's toys modified as decoys. The alien responses grew increasingly erratic. Some units retreated, without engagement. Others fired at random intervals, many simply shut down. They can't process the contradictions, Dr. Santos explained. Their society evolved through perfect harmony and predictability. The concept of individual interpretation is breaking their command structure. Jin's communications terminal lit up unexpectedly. "I'm receiving a transmission from Captain Chen's comm unit," he announced, patching it through to the speakers. Chen's voice came through, weak but clear. "The guards abandoned our cell. Something's happening shipwide. Alien crews are frozen. Some are making repetitive movements or emitting strange sounds." "Can you make it to an escape pod?" General Whitaker asked. "Better," came Chen's pained reply. "We're in a control section. Lieutenant Rodriguez found what looks like a navigation terminal. Jin, I'm sending you access codes." Jin's fingers flew across his keyboard as the data arrived. "This is incredible," he breathed. "These aren't just navigation codes, this is access to their entire command protocol." Dr. Santos leaned closer to the screen, eyes widening. "We didn't just confuse them," she realized. "We've created a power vacuum in their hierarchy, which means," General Whitaker said slowly, "we could potentially step in and fill it." Jin looked up, the implications dawning on him. "We could take control of their entire fleet." Captain Chen clutched his injured shoulder as he guided his surviving team through the command vessel's corridors. The alien crew they encountered stood motionless or moved in confused patterns, their skin cycling through colors never before observed. "It's like they're having a collective nervous breakdown," Lieutenant Rodriguez noted, her breathing labored from the toxic atmosphere. Despite the medical treatment they'd received, their bodies still struggled against the alien environment. "Stay focused," Chen reminded them. "We need to reach the primary transmission node." Back at the command center, Jin Park worked feverishly to translate the alien command protocols. Engineer Priya Sharma had joined him, bringing her knowledge of the captured ship's systems. "The hierarchy is fascinating," Priya said, studying the data structure. "It's not just a military chain of command, it's embedded in their biology. They physically cannot function without receiving properly formatted instructions from their superiors." Dr. Santos nodded. "That explains their current paralysis. Our algorithm has corrupted the instruction format, leaving them without direction." General Whitaker leaned over the tactical display where alien vessels worldwide were shown in various states of disarray. Some maintained position, others drifted aimlessly, and a few had actually collided. Something previously unthinkable, given their perfect coordination. "How soon can we implement our own commands?" he asked. Jin looked up from his terminal. "I've isolated the command syntax, but there's a problem. Their instructions incorporate quantum signatures we can't replicate. They'll recognize external commands as foreign." "Not necessarily," Priya countered. "Captain Chen's team is inside their primary vessel. If they can access the signature generators..." The communication channel crackled. "We heard that," came Chen's voice. "Tell us what to look for." Jin quickly sent schematics to Chen's device. "You need to reach the central communication spire. It should be marked with concentric circle patterns." The feed from Chen's helmet camera showed the team navigating through increasingly grand chambers until they reached an enormous dome. In its center rose a towering crystalline structure pulsing with blue-white energy. "That's it," Jin confirmed. "The physical hub of their entire command network." Chen approached the base of the spire where a complex console awaited. Following Jin and Priya's instructions, he carefully modified the quantum signature protocols. "Upload complete," he finally announced. "Did it work?" At the command center, Jin watched as new access points appeared in his system. "We're in," he breathed. "We can now issue commands that will be recognized as legitimate by their hierarchy." Dr. Santos drafted the first test command, a simple instruction for all ships in Earth orbit to maintain current position. Jin translated it into the aliens' mathematical language and sent it through the network. On the tactical display, the drifting alien vessels suddenly stabilized, returning to perfect formation. "It worked," General Whitaker said quietly. They're responding. Jin nodded, his expression solemn. We now control the most powerful fleet in known space. Dr. Santos turned to the communications officer. Contact all resistance cells. Tell them to stand down from offensive operations. Then prepare a global broadcast. What are we going to tell people? Asked Colonel Mbeki. Dr. Santos looked around the room at the exhausted but triumphant humans who had accomplished the impossible. The truth. That humanity's greatest weakness, our unpredictability, our emotions, our chaotic nature, turned out to be our greatest strength. And now we have a chance to reshape our future among the stars. Dr. Maya Santos stood before the primary nexus, the controlling intelligence of the Star Collective, on the command vessel's highest level. The being resembled its subordinates but larger, its iridescent skin shifting between deep blue and violet as it regarded the human delegation. You have disrupted the perfect harmony of our existence, it communicated through the translation system. You have introduced chaos into order. Captain Chen, his arm now properly treated and bandaged, stepped forward. We defended ourselves against extinction. Your harmony would have meant our end. The Nexus's 4 eyes blinked in perfect synchronization. This was the natural order. Advanced civilizations absorb resources from lesser ones. It is efficient. Efficient but not imaginative, Dr. Santos countered. She gestured to Jin Park, who projected images of Earth's diverse ecosystems, cultures, and artistic achievements. What you call chaos, we call diversity. It's the source of our adaptability and creativity. The alien leader seemed to process this concept with difficulty. Your species creates inefficiencies intentionally. We explore possibilities, Ginny explained. Sometimes the least efficient path leads to the greatest discoveries. General Whitaker joined them via holographic projection from Earth. We now control your fleet and could destroy your civilization as you intended to destroy ours. The Nexus's skin flashed a deep purple, the fear response they had observed before. This would be logical. The victorious species eliminates the threat. That's where you're wrong, Chen said. Human history is filled with examples of former enemies becoming allies. We see potential in difference, not just threat. Dr. Santos stepped closer to the alien leader. We propose a new kind of relationship, not conqueror and conquered, but a partnership that benefits from our different perspectives. On the viewing screen behind them, images appeared of the 17 worlds the Star Collective had previously subjugated. Jin had compiled data showing how each species had unique capabilities and perspectives. Together, we could create something greater than the sum of our parts, Dr. Santos continued. A true collective, not one based on domination but on complementary strengths. The alien leader remained silent for precisely 47 seconds, the longest they had ever observed one of its kind in contemplation. This concept has no precedent in our history, it finally stated. Precisely why it's worth exploring, Chen replied. You excel at precision, efficiency, and technological advancement. We excel at adaptation, creativity, and finding meaning beyond pure function. Together, we could achieve things neither of us could alone. Lieutenant Rodriguez, monitoring the aliens' biological responses, nodded subtly to Dr. Santos. The readings showed something unprecedented, neural patterns suggesting new pathways, forming in the aliens' thought processes. We propose a council, General Whitaker explained. Representatives from Earth and all worlds in your former hierarchy, working together as equals to govern this region of space. The Nexus's color stabilized into a previously unseen shade of turquoise. This arrangement is inefficient, it observed, but infinitely more interesting, Dr. Santos countered with a smile. And potentially more advanced in the long term, added Jin. Diversity of thought creates resilience against future challenges. The alien leader seemed to consider this. We will try this new approach. It is unprecedented, but our previous strategy failed against your species. Perhaps there is something to learn from inefficiency. As the first light of a new day broke, over Earth, Humanity looked to the stars not as conquerors, but as architects of a new kind of interstellar community, one built on the recognition that difference could be strength, and that the universe held room for both order and chaos.